Hey friends, Kathy Lanzlaco here to talk a little bit about updating your resume this month. Last week, I shared information about International Update Your Resume Month, and we talked a little bit about why you should update your resume and some of the highlights about what you should be doing in terms of switching old things out and bringing some new things in. The video is still on my YouTube channel at Inspire Careers. So you can go take a look at that if you've missed the first one, or check out my LinkedIn profile. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel because I'll be posting all of these. So then you can just go back and see them whenever you want. But today I'm here to talk about resume formatting. So let's just say that you're 25, 35 or older, and you still are using the Career Center resume that you got in college. It is time to ditch that old format and update it and make it easy to read, compliant with the applicant tracking systems when you're applying online, and something that really allows you to be able to talk about the information that you want to talk about, that you want to showcase. So there's a couple different formats that you can use. And the most popular one probably is the chronological one, where you kind of reverse chronological, where you bring it up from the past and then you end with the current job that you're in. And that is generally how you see resumes. Now, because of what happened during the pandemic and the fact that many people lost their jobs, had to do career pivots, and maybe didn't even have to, but maybe have chosen to over this past year, maybe a functional resume might be more appropriate for you to be able to demonstrate the type of skills that you have and the type of work that you did and kind of put that in buckets per function. So that might be a way to do it, or a hybrid approach where you're taking the best of both to be able to really focus in on what you have done and, more importantly, what you're trying to do for the next company. So it's so important to understand the job that you're targeting. So maybe depending on the type of company that you're targeting or different roles, you may have two versions of it. One might be functional, one might be a chronological resume. It really depends on what you're doing, what your goals are moving forward. So that's something to think about. As you're putting it together too, let's talk about length. Never more than two, never more than 2 pages. You know, people ask me all the time, should it be 1 page? Not necessarily. Sometimes, absolutely, yes. You may have been at one company for 20 years. You might be a new grad, probably very appropriate for one, but don't box yourself into that. If you have enough information that's relevant to share, and it gets into 2 pages, but getting into 2 pages is not like one line on the second page. It is really 3/4 at least of that second page. Otherwise, you probably can skim it down to 1 page. The only exception that I make to that is when I work with C-suite individuals or business owners. It might require a 3 page. Maybe I can sleep at night with that, but I try to get them down to 2 pages too. And that's always a conversation about what is really relevant to the next job that you want. So keep in mind, it can be 1 to 2 pages if you're watching this, and but don't feel like you have to get yourself into that 1 page box. Think about that format that you're going to be using. Is it going to be a functional resume? Will reverse chronological be better for you? Or is that hybrid approach good? Last thing I'm going to leave you with today is make sure that you take into account any skills that you developed during the pandemic, whether it was during lockdown last year or coming out of it now. Remote work skills. So what different platforms are you very comfortable on? Have you learned to communicate in groups? You know, what other skills have you learned from a technology standpoint or from a personal interactive one? Have you taken additional classes or training that would help an employer if you have to meet with their clients or customers through video? So there's a lot of great opportunity to really talk about what you've done over this past year, new skills you may not have gained any other time. And certainly we are a global society, so those are important to just about every single job that you would be targeting. So make sure you take credit for those as well. And then I have to tell you too, you don't have to put this in the resume. I wouldn't put this in the resume, but be prepared to talk about it as to whether or not you're vaccinated. Employers are asking for it. Many employers are requiring it now. So, and it's not a judgment statement. It just is what it is. And you may have to produce proof of that too, once you get into the offer stage. Something to think about. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them here in the comment section and I will respond to them. And in the meantime, I will continue to remind you throughout the month about other resume tips and different things to keep you updated for International Update Your Resume Month. In the meantime, live inspired.